Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for this episode of my Tracklist ranking series. If you guys have been on my channel before and seen this series before, you guys know exactly how it works. This is where I grab an album and I rank its entire tracklist from my least favourite song to favourite song. And today's album is the third full-length album by the band Waterparks from the year 2019, titled Fandom. Now just quickly, if you want to know my overall thoughts of this album as a whole effort, make sure to check out my random album review. If I remember to do so, I'll link it in the description below, but otherwise it should be posted on my channel at the same time as this video. So if you're interested of my thoughts of this album as an overall, make sure to check out that video. But either way, in today's video, this is where I rank the entire track list from my least favourite to favourite song, with a little exception that I gotta make. Occasionally this comes up, but I don't have to do it very often. But today I'm actually going to be removing two songs from this tracklist ranking. The sole reason of doing that is the two songs are pretty much little samples, interludes, just to fill up the tracklist. So the two songs I will not be including is Group Chat and Zone Out. If you're familiar with this album, I'm sure you will understand why. Group Chat is a little interlude that goes for 10 seconds or so. It's not even really a song. And then Zone Out is a song I'm pretty sure goes for like 30 seconds to a minute, but it's just a slowed down, sampled version of an earlier song on the album called Dream Boy. So both of them are just too short. I know they would have fallen at the back of this ranking anyway, so I won't be including them. Just to save time in this video. But regardless, let's move on and get into this ranking. Spoiler alert, I really like this album, so this was a super hard ranking to put together, but I'm excited to get into it. So let's move on, getting into my tracklist ranking for the album Fandom by the band Waterparks. So starting off today's list at my number 13 is the track Cherry Red. I actually really like the feel and the energy and catchiness of this song, but the reason why I feel like I almost have to have it as my last place is because the song is just so short. It runs a little over a minute, and it's almost like as soon as it really starts gaining momentum and kicking, it's already over. If it went around again with another verse or another chorus or just made up another minute of whatever, I'm telling you, it actually would have shot up this ranking by a lot more, but as I said, it's just too short. It's almost like you blink and it seems to be over, and it's almost a tease of like such a good sample of what this song could have been. It's almost annoying that I have to put it last because, as I said, it's still pretty solid, but the potential is there to be so much better, and it just doesn't feel complete enough. But to wrap it up on a positive, it's a short shot of energy, a cool way to open the album. I forgot to mention that. That's actually the opening song for the album, but still really catchy. Just unfortunate that it's so short, and as I said, by the time the momentum's going and you know you've got your head banging, it's over. So a missed potential there, but gotta have a last place. So coming in at my number 13 is the track Cherry Red.
Los Angeles look like you from a distance. Now I'm kinda thinking that I'll never bloom again.
Coming in at my number 12 is the track Never Bloom Again, a song seemingly about being haunted by an ex and the effect that it has left on you after the end of a relationship. A matter of like seeing their face everywhere, regardless of your feelings towards them, and even if you've moved on to bigger and better things, it can still hurt and affect your confidence, hence the title Never Bloom Again. And the song does feel very somber with its mix of lyrics over an acoustic guitar, and though it is an acoustic song, it does keep a surprising pace with it. Not like it's fast or anything like that, but it does switch things up enough to add layered vocals and such things like that. And as the record has shown on my channel and in previous tracklist rankings, acoustic songs don't often rank too high on my tracklist rankings, so again this one's towards the back of the list, but still a really solid song. And if I'm comparing it to the earlier entry that we just had being Cherry Red, at least this song also feels a bit more complete as well. So coming in at my number 12 is the track Never Bloom Again. back to back with another acoustic track, but not close to your typical acoustic sounding song either, with the song picking up towards the end with a whole band effort. You've got loops and synths. Here at my number 11, I have the track High Definition, and everything that I just mentioned then does give it a slight push, having something a little bit different at least, but I also really like the complexity of the writing and storytelling in this one by lead vocalist Austin Knight, who you'll see with the songs to come, has a lot to talk about in terms of relationships on this album, but more so writing about the breaking down of a relationship and things not working, and also happily admitting faults on behalf of both parties. A feeling of not feeling loved or connection, but understanding being in a band often means that Austin is on the road and gone, and it makes it hard to keep that connection, but it just adds a lot more complexity and depth to a song that could have easily been simplified as a relationship falling apart and ending. Writing from both perspectives and admitting faults while also, being vulnerable. I just really like the writing in this one as well. So coming in at my number 11 is the track High Definition. Coming in at my number 10 is the track I Miss Having Sex, but at least I don't want to die anymore. This song is one that I used to enjoy a lot more in the past, and it has admittedly lost a little bit of steam with me over time, but still enjoyable and especially catchy. This song kind of feels like a jingle or nursery rhyme that kind of has this catchy, bouncy feel, but the song also flies by, which to be fair, it didn't have the longest runtime to start with anyways, but the song itself has this mix of being about the weight of expectations and obligations from people that expect something from you because you are somewhat famous, but also the chorus, what the name of the song is, I miss having sex, but at least I don't want to die anymore. Again, relating to a past relationship, while this time Austin is showing a bit more of his teeth about it. The title of the song pretty much translating to, yeah, there were highs of being together, but at the end of the day, I'm feeling a lot less depressed. Now, I might be missing something, admittedly, with those two different messages that I brought up earlier, expectations and obligations from fans and the public, and then also with this past relationship. I'm not sure if there's a connection there that I'm missing the translation with. I feel like it could be a little bit smoother, but admittedly, maybe I'm missing something there. But at the end of the day, it's catchy, it's quick. The chorus is like this jingle, it's going to stick around in your head, it's impossible to forget about it. So coming in at my number 10 is I Miss Having Sex, but at least I don't want to die anymore. Coming in at my number 9 is the track Reboot. I always knew that I really liked this song, but I was interested to see whereabouts it would finish up in this ranking, because it's probably the most unique song offered off this album, and it feels like almost someone doing a remix of Waterparks. It's very weird, but it's a good type of different, and another one that packs a heap of hype. Getting into the writing for this track, it's one of the biggest middle fingers to love and a past relationship that you can probably think up. Willing to snipe anything within the scope and making any type of analogy to get the message across and cut deep. Even a drive-by for the ex's mum, why not? He is taking out everybody here. But the mix of this song being a badass track while also offering something different, and as I said, probably being the most unique song off this album, gives this song a nice push on the ranking. As I said, I was really interested to see where it'd finish up, so coming in at my number 9 is the track Reboot. Coming in at my number 8 is the track I Felt Younger When We Met. This time it's the closing song on the album, which I honestly thought I was going to be ranking this one a little bit higher on this list, but don't let that take anything away from this song because it's still super cool. This song probably has one of, if not my favourite line off this whole album. So brutal, but in the best way. The line is, I said I'd love you to death, so I must be dead. Which is pretty much flipping the script, saying, you often hear I'm going to love you forever. It's Austin pretty much saying, hey, I guess forever as an end, and we've reached that end. And that line hits at the start of the song, hits at the start of every chorus, and speaking of which, some of the best choruses offered off this album in this song. And as a pop punk fan at the foremost myself, this is probably one of the more pop punk leaning songs off this album, and again, especially in the choruses, I can't undermine that enough. And it's almost like by the time the final chorus comes around on this song, it's almost impossible to not be headbanging by this point. It's just an absolute fucking banger. And a good way to close off this album. So coming in at my number 8, as I said, I thought it was going to be a little bit higher, but I have the track I Felt Younger When We Met. Coming in at my number 7, I have the track Worst. I spoke earlier with the song Reboot being one of the biggest middle fingers to love, but this is another one with a middle finger which is a lot more direct, and I guess a quick heads up for the rest of this ranking, it's also not going to be the last by any means. But Worst literally being the most simple way written to describe a past partner in this song. And I mean, it's technically not the worst thing to be called by an ex, but the way that it's done in this song really does pack a punch. And again, coming out with very direct and specific jabs at a target in this song, and it ain't afraid to rattle the cage of some of his ex's friends as well, really has a go at them as well. Instrumentally, it's technically an acoustic track, but one of the most grooviest acoustic tracks that comes to mind off the top of my head, with loops and funky bass thrown in there as well, and a rainstorm and thunder playing constantly throughout the background of this song, which I also really think suits the vibe and the message as well. So coming in at my number 7 is the track Worst.
Turbulent. I done fuck you if I could. Ooh, I done love you like I should. Must be water.
For my number 6 spot, I have the track Turbulent. Now, if I remember correctly, this was the lead single for the album, and I remembered not loving it first of all. It's not like I hated it either, I just thought maybe a disappointing opening single to the album. But this is one that's still growing on me even now, and it's actually ranked a lot higher than what I first would have guessed. Again, another one of the biggest middle fingers. Like I said, this album's full of them, and it's not even close to being the last. But it's arguably the most brutal. Just to drop a few lines from this song on you. Fuck yourself and fuck your feelings throughout the pre-choruses, and then the chorus opens with I'd unfuck you if I could. I've never heard that anywhere else other than this song, but I feel like that would be a low-key sting to the ego. I mean, imagine being his ex and hearing I'd unfuck you if I could, fuck yourself and fuck your feelings. That would be a shot to your confidence for sure. And Austin's not afraid to hype himself up and give himself some self-confidence with a very clever Fall Out Boy reference thrown into the opening of this song. The line being, you had your own Pete Wentz and Patrick combined. For those who are unaware, that's referencing Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump from the band Fall Out Boy. To dive a little bit deeper into that, bass player Pete Wentz, a lot of people actually don't know, he's the one that writes majority of the lyrics for Fall Out Boy, while the lead singer Patrick Stump is the one who sings it. So it's pretty much Austin saying, you had all of this, Pete Wentz and Patrick Stump put together, and you fucked it. And I think that's just a really cool way to open the song. But moving on from the lyrics, again quickly, this song is so close to being an assault on the senses, which sounds crazy, but somehow it still works, especially when you pair the lyrics and the instrumentals together. It goes from being fast-paced to a screeching halt, even moments of having like this air raid siren coming through at the end of the song. But to me, again, it just really suits because of the lyrics, because a lot of the song does seem to be written almost like, I'm bringing war down on you and you better prepare. And the chaos of the instrumentals and air sirens and samples and everything, as I said, it's so close to being an assault on the senses, but just somehow really fucking works. Really cool song, as I said, still one growing on me till this day. So coming in at my number 6 is the track Turbulent. Coming in at my number 5 spot is the track War Crimes, possibly the most underrated and overlooked song of this album, and also possibly being one of the most addictive, and the song is just so badass. Firstly, it's done a lot of talking about messages going up against love and an ex off this album, and we'll get around to some more topics that the band go up against coming up on this ranking, but this song feels like it's the band going against anybody and everybody. Like, this song does feel like war. War Crimes, it feels like fucking war. It feels like they're going and button heads with everybody. But the instrumentals and feels are just so insanely cool, and I don't even know what part of the song I want to sample in my video for this one, because there just are so many cool parts to this song. But consistently brooding and badass, and some of the coolest bass off this whole album is consistent from start to finish through this whole song. I kind of feel like this is a song off the album, War Crimes, and it's got a little bit for everybody. You know, it's not just one thing. There's something that a lot of people are going to pull that they like from this song. And if you've heard Waterparks' first full-length album, Double Dare, the song's Little Violence and Made in America, it's very much suited to that mold. So if you like those two songs, you will definitely like War Crimes as well. So coming in at my number 5, as I said, a pick for most underrated and possibly most addictive as well. Here I have War Crimes. Coming in at my number 4 spot is the track Telephone. I just said that War Crimes could possibly be one of the most addictive songs off this album, but my lock-in for number 1 has to go to Telephone. For a long time, I would have also called it the most underrated, but the song started to get a little bit of traction after being on a Netflix show. I could be wrong, I think it was Sex Education. I don't watch that show, so I could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it made an appearance on that show. But I was all about this song before fans of the show jumped on it. It has this infectious energy and pace, and the song is just like this extremely fun drug. And for a change, it's about a more upbeat perspective for the most part on a relationship. Falling head over heels for someone, wanting to know all about them, chatting for hours while also admitting his own faults and being vulnerable again, not wanting to overcomplicate things with his lifestyle, struggling with distance, even the line, "I could be your future favourite regret." Again, admitting that he could be at fault, but he wants to get to know this person, and as I said, overall it's a lot more upbeat. Again, in comparison to what we've been given on this album, it's rainbows and sunshine of perspective compared to the other messages of love that's been shown so far. So, but all that aside, it's so fun, it's so quick, it's so catchy, and it's just a shot of energy that's too infectious to deny. One of my favourites, coming in at number 4, is the track Telephone. So here we are moving into the top 3, and my next pick goes to the track Watch What Happens Next. Spoken a lot about the band putting targets on topics throughout this whole album. Definitely, it's not a secret, in particular being past relationships, but a wide variety overall, and with this song it's probably the most interesting hit. Wanting more from what genre they're in and kind of allows them to have. How they convey that in this song is bringing up points like fans wanting them to have new music, but don't try anything new. You know, keep doing the same thing over and over. You can't flex money, or you can't ask for money. You can't ask for your music to be promoted. You've got pop and rap music and artists, you know, flexing and switching up genres while they can't. In this song, they take a direct aim at Lil Nas X and his song Old Town Road, which was topping the charts at this time. And, you know, even if we're looking forward to current time in 2024, an example being Post Malone, you know, an artist that was known for doing pop and rap, he's now got a new album called F1 Trillion, where he's brought country onto mainstream radio, and a lot of people are really accepting it and going, yeah, this is cool. If a band like Waterparks did it, I bet you the reception wouldn't quite be the same. And to be honest, I feel like all of the points that they make off this song are fairly reasonable in the rap scene, and even over the past few years in the pop scene. It's become common to flex money and chains and say that you're the best in the game and, you know, no one else is on your level. Whereas in the punk scene and alternative scene, it's not really, it's kind of a big no-no. And not saying that I'm leaning on either side of the fence, but overall they are reasonable points. And Waterparks have been a controversial band for these reasons and by the way that they convey things, but the way that they do it in this song, as I said, they make reasonable points and everything is understandable and it makes you go, huh, they're making good valid points here. And not to mention, moving off the lyrics, the instrumentals on this one are fucking awesome. The flow, the pace of this song, definitely one of the earlier catchy songs as well off this album. So coming in at my number 3 is the track Watch What Happens Next. So coming in as my runner-up at my number 2 spot is the track Dream Boy, another one of the rare examples of songs off this album with a more upbeat outlook with its vibe and writing. The writing being about being a dream boyfriend, being everything you want them and need them to be. And like I said, along with the upbeat writing, plenty of fun, funky vibes with the instrumentals as well. And this song is so quick, it just flies by. And I think something that does help that as well is, at least to me, this song has a very dreamlike quality. Probably done deliberately because the song is called Dream Boy. But yeah, that fun, dreamlike quality that I at least feel, I think makes the song just flow by a lot smoother as well. I'm going to keep this one short and sharp because it is a pretty well-known song and it is one of the more popular ones, so I'm probably not adding much to what people already know about this track. So coming in at my number 2 is the song Dream Boy. And coming in at my number 1 spot is the track Easy to Hate, and capping it off with another song about beefing with your ex, but this time, and surprisingly because of the name of the song, it isn't as direct of a headshot as what you would maybe expect. Instead, it actually takes a perspective of trying to make things work and ignoring red flags, and you know, you're doing it because you think it will result in a better outcome, and putting up with too much in general when you know it isn't actually what's good for you. But at the end of the day, the song name comes back around and the chorus explains, it's too easy to hate you, you're hard to love, which is pretty much saying we can keep doing this in circles and we can keep trying to share the blame, but at the end of the day, it's you. You're hard to love, and you're just too easy to hate. And I love it, and all of it is written over this extremely catchy instrumentals, probably being one of the most well-known songs off this album as well, and one of the more popular ones. And again, the vibe, me being a pop-punk fan at the foremost, sort of fits that style as well. Yeah, again, I'm going to keep this one short and sharp, because like I said, it's one of the more well-known and popular songs again. Easy to Hate is my number 1 favourite song off the album Fandom. So there we go, guys. Thank you for joining me for this track list ranking for the album Fandom by the band Waterparks. Again, if you want to know my complete thoughts of the album as an overall effort and what I give it for a score out of 10, make sure to check out my random album review. Like I said, if I remember, I'll link it in the description below, but otherwise it should have been uploaded at the same time, so it will be recent on my channel if you want to check it out. And I think it is a really cool one because as I can hopefully convey by putting the samples in this video and everything, you know, there's a variety of styles thrown into this album, and I think it's a deeper album as well than what a lot of people probably take it to be as face value. This album has always been one that's just stuck out prominently since it dropped in 2019. It's been one of my favorites since. I just think this album's so cool. So if you want to check out my random album review, I'd really appreciate it. As I said, it's fun to talk about that album in a bit more depth in full, but this was a good one to go through the songs specifically. And if you are a fan of this album as well and you have your own ranking, let me know some of your favorite songs in the comments below. But again, thank you for joining me, guys, and I'll see you for another video soon. Peace.